Hi, I'm Lucas Cuni-Mertz, Associate Editor of Baking and Snack Magazine, and this is a baking and snack tech expert. In our October issue, we spoke with Carlo Bergonzi, Product Manager for the Mondini Tray Seal at Harpak-ULMA, about how tray sealing is helping bakers extend shelf life, reduce waste, and more. Today, he'll share more on how this technology is benefiting bakers. Thanks for joining me today, Carlo.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with that shelf life point. How is tray sealing extending product shelf life for producers?
So I think certain products require rigid packaging and containers, and perhaps the traditional choice in bakery and other market segments would be a clamshell style container with a hinged lid. And we find many clamshells aren't hermetic or don't have the same barrier properties we can achieve with a tray seal style container. So tray seal equipment allows us to perform gas flush or vacuuming gas so we can get down to very low residual oxygen levels. And it tends to be very nonlinear in terms of removing oxygen and extending shelf life. There tends to be a disproportionate gain in shelf life from removal of incremental amounts of oxygen in the process. And all products are different, but we know many bakery and confectionery items have ingredients that do benefit, not just from oxygen removal, but from the addition of CO2. So, chocolates, creams, fruits, nuts, other baked goods, and some of those associated ingredients can all benefit in different ways. For example, we know oxygen reduction can slow down lipid oxidation in chocolate, which can help in retaining flavor, texture, and appearance over time. We also know it inhibits certain compounds like aldehydes and ketones, which can cause undesirable flavors. With baked goods, we know MAP can enhance freshness by slowing mold and staling, and this extension can vary from days to weeks. Uh, Discussing this with a customer earlier this year, had done some shelf life testing where we actually tripled their shelf life from implementing vacuum and gas in modified atmosphere. So this is something that can really influence different aspects of your business and potentially open up some different markets that you otherwise wouldn't have access to before. And that's just the official shelf life component. Of course, there's the product quality component as well. For products like breads, pastries, and cakes, retaining that texture is important. Products like cream-filled pastries or other products that have traditional ingredients that would benefit from MAP, like nuts or dried fruits, would also benefit substantially. And although the different products I'm referencing react different to different gas mixtures, we have the ability to test and optimize different products in the MAP cycle on the equipment. And there's also this potential to eliminate other preservatives that can contribute to a consumer's preferences for cleaner labels as well.
Excellent. And so, how is tray sealing also reducing costs and promoting greater sustainability?
Good question. Those two aspects can be somewhat related. I would say broadly, tray sealed formats can reduce costs through material reductions and operational efficiencies. If you think about that plastic reduction by eliminating the rigid lid on a clamshell style package and replacing that with flexible film, you can save on the overall materials. And even if that's a small marginal change, obviously volume can amplify these types of small material savings. On plastic reduction, that mainly comes from the elimination of the rigid lid. Depending on the size of that feature, total plastics can be reduced by anywhere from 20 to 50%, which is significant. In some instances, the removal of that lid can also help with handling. So, for example, denesting, running down a conveyor, using automation or filling equipment to load the container. All of that can be streamlined without the rigid lid. So there's some operational savings that can come into play. If you're leveraging modified atmosphere as opposed to the traditional cold chain for shelf life management, you can also, in some cases, eliminate the cost of the equipment, labor, and maintenance associated with the spiral freezing equipment as well. Moving over to sustainability, we approach sustainability through different pathways. General material and plastics reduction, which we just touched on with the removal of the lid, the use of renewable substrates for the container. So we have the ability with the tray sealed formats to leverage paperboard, pressboard, or molded fiber to create renewable containers. And we use a liner film to maintain barrier properties. These are all good options on tray sealed formats. There can be some additional benefits as well. With paperboard, for example, we have the ability to print 360 degrees on the container, whether that's artwork, graphics, marketing information, nutritional info, preparation instructions, UPC or QR codes. We can oftentimes eliminate the need altogether for secondary labeling, which could be a cost savings opportunity as well. And the third way we think about achieving sustainability is simply to reduce carbon footprint by reducing truckloads. And this can be done by forming trays on site using, for instance, Harpak-ULMA's Mondini platformer or paper seal former, and shipping flat blanks or roll stock instead of the nested trays, which creates a denser payload. That also ties back to the cost savings. If you can bring in material that way, it's usually a quick ROI to break even.
And so, why is now the right time for bakers to invest in this technology?
Well, I think we can probably agree that one of the biggest trends in our industry and perhaps the whole economy at large is this lack of skilled labor availability. And because of the demographic distribution, that probably isn't changing anytime soon. So, any innovation, system, or automation that can be implemented to mitigate the dependency on labor or otherwise increase efficiency is oftentimes well worth the investment. We're seeing a lot of labor where you would otherwise have manual placement of products and ingredients into clamshells in store, come out of stores and retailers, and go into centralized distribution centers where you can automate, leverage MAP, and increase the size and distance of your distribution channels. So that transformation is definitely happening now. And there's really tremendous ROI to be had there. These benefits accrue to the producer, the retailer, and the consumer in different ways. And for the producers, moving to a film seal can increase efficiency and reduce costs. For the retailer, it can eliminate shrink and waste. And for the consumer, they're getting a never frozen product in a more sustainable package.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Carlo, for joining me today on this Baking and Snack Tech Expert.